Ladies and gentlemen, this is internet personality Vangelus with the third installment of...
Women's.
Now, if you've been following this little mini-series, you'd know that I mentioned that Omega Spreem's a businessman with secretaries. Yes, he called in some extra support from the East. And thanks to HLJ, we got some pretty good office temps. They come to you from a world called Xenosaga 3, and the first of them is named Kos-Mos. Oddly enough, this is an entry in the Motion Revive series, and it's the only Motion Revive series, this and t-elos, to come in their very own boxes. And thanks to those boxes, I'm going to get the names of weapons right this time, because I only ever played the first 2 hours of Xenosaga 1. However, I'm a big nut for Motion Revive, so I was kind of happy to get a hold of these and get closer to my completionism about this line, as it seems to sadly be in the void of not quite dead, but hey, let's just say it is. One of the first things you'll notice that sets Kos-Mos Ver.4 apart from her usual Motion Revive brothers is a stand, and really a very nice one. It's got a ball joint on the base so she can totally go all dreidel style. It connects into her back with another ball joint so she can totally go all air humping style, and it's got a joint in the middle. So this is actually, in my opinion, a great stand. However, it's also an entirely necessary stand, because without it, her footprint is really small. And, yeah. Good luck. That's all I'm gonna say. Good luck. She has posable hair, but you don't really get to take too much advantage of that because you have to move it out of the way to accommodate the stand more often than not. Her posability's not bad, although it's not up there on the level of, say, Ixa here. The Motion Revive Kamen Riders are still the pinnacle of this line. She's got a lot of decent joints, but they're not really quite as robust as the Kamen Rider Motion Revives. She's got the problem that the first and the next guys have with the locked swivel waist, and lack of double-jointed knees was disappointing to me. She also has an ankle joint, which is all but entirely pointless. However, she's got a really detailed sculpt and a lot of really decent paint apps, and the hair joint can make for some pretty cool I'm flying forward now poses. The first accessory I'll show you is her, according to the box, Hando gun. She can kind of hold this thing in her hands if you really wedge it in there, but this accessory I think was kind of a miss. It tends to, as you see, take her hand off rather than just stay in place. So she can kind of hold this thing if you really pretend that she doesn't need to pull a trigger to fire it. But it's just oversized and to me looks really out of place. The Hando gun is not something I'm all that interested in. And I'm just gonna move on to the really cool accessories. But to use these, you have to use her one pair of alternate hands. Now, I originally tried using these things with the hands that she's using now. It was hilarious in every sense of failure. Then I discovered that she comes with alternate hands that have a molded closed thumb. And what's really cool about this is it means she can really solidly hold those giant weapons in spite of her somewhat weak shoulder joints. To have her grip the Hando Baruken, you can pull the handle out like this, and then you feed it through the closed thumb hand, and hopefully not snap the thumb open at any point, and then just put it back together. And swapping her hands is pretty simple. This whole process, once I found out that she had these spare hands, because I didn't notice them in the box at first, I was really happy, because this went from, oh my god, she can't even hold her own guns, to, oh my god, she can wield these giant, ludicrous monstrosities of weapons. Similarly, for her other hand, you can attach the Doragon Skaru. And this one also has another removing handle deal. Once again, just feeding it through the thumb, and before you know it, she's wielding her Doragon Sukaru. This thing is a pretty cool-looking weapon, and I think this is what really sets her apart from t-elos, because this is a big, unique, characterful piece of kit, and it looks neato. I don't really know what she does with it, but according to the toy, it has several functions. Currently, actually, I'll just take a moment to show you how cool this looks when she's wielding these two things. I really like how this turned out. Even if her elbow joints are a little bit loose, she's carrying two humongous pieces of machinery, and this turned out, I think, really well as far as this little experiment in motion revive goes. You do see the hands falling off here and there, but unless you're trying to, like, wrestle her into poses like I am in front of a camera, usually if you take your time, things go well. Now, the Doragon Sukaru has two modes, as I said. Currently, it's in its Ranchia Mo-Do mode. Usually would be held in the other hand and cupped with one of the open hands, but I just kind of like the idea that she's single-handing this enormous thing. That, and she does this anyway when she transforms the Doragon Skuraul into its alternate form. Once you open it, you just shove this blade in here, and it does only go in the one way. And now you've got the Doragon Skaru into its Doragon Skaru no Kanji symbol form, which looks to me like a big-ass sword, and that's the best kind of sword. Thanks again to these wonderful weapon-holding hands, she can more or less arc this thing all the way out and give you a really good look at just how much blade there is on here. And that's really marvelous. I think that this is actually a really cool figure, provided you can get a hold of it for a decent price. It began selling at a somewhat ludicrous price of around, I think, $20 or $25, and I'm afraid this really isn't worth that much. However, I've seen a lot of places mark it down to, like, $5 or $6, and for that, this is so unbelievably worth it, I can't begin to explain it to you. You're basically getting a somewhat moderately weak motion revive figure with a really good stand and unbelievably cool accessories. So, despite its negatives, I think this package really balances out, especially if this is already marked down to like less than $10. Even for 15, I'd say this is worth it. She's just a really cool design, and the Doragon Skaru is such a cool looking weapon on her whole posing setup here. It just turns out really well. Now, she does have one other accessory, and it's for Telos, but Telos comes with an accessory for Kos-Mos. So I'm going to show you that now. Now, having not played the game, I can't really explain to you what I'm about to do here. Basically, you remove the front of her chest. That image won't be leaving the back of your mind, no. You then plug in these alternate parts that come with her counterpart, Telos, and rip her head off while you're at it. And then, while you're plugging these in, you start thinking, like, what the blazes am I doing? Am I being played for a fool? Is this some kind of creepy fan service thing? And then, you are told to stick a knife across the front of her Ido 11. I don't even know what's going on now. Anyway, this is her alternate chest. I've been told this is called the Cleavage Buster. I don't know what it is. But if you want it, you have to buy both toys. Anyway, as I said, if you can find this figure on sale, it's really worth it, despite weird functions like this. It's really quite solid as a cheapo motion revive, especially with all the extra accessories, which I believe could be likened to the Monster Hunter motion revives, which I sadly have not gotten to sample yet. If you have to pay full price for her, I'd say only do it if you really love your Xenosaga. That said, if you do only buy one, you're missing out, because she really is part of a pair. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and we've got one more installment in the legend of Spreem's women, so stay tuned.